Welcome to the Road to Redemption podcast with your host, Cam Williamson. Each week, Cam sets out to shatter the labels and stigmas associated with mental health awareness by giving life lessons and raw overviews of events happening around the world.
All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your host, Cam Williamson. This is not going to be a full-blown podcast. This is going to be one of my little monologues. I quickly caught myself up on the Alex Jones case. There's this new guy floating around the internet that everyone's talking about. His name's Andrew Tate. Really, his name is Emery Andrew Tate III. He was an American-British kickboxer. Alex Jones is a very popular controversy / conspiracy theory guy. He got sued. We'll start with him. He got sued by the parents of Sandy Hook elementary school shooting victim, one of the kids, their parents, because Alex Jones kind of rose to prominence in my eyes, and I think in a lot of other people's eyes modernly, when he jumped on Rogan's scene. He got on Joe Rogan, and he was kind of notable for his controversies, his conspiracy theories. At some point, he tried to claim that Sandy Hook, the shooting, was a hoax, and that it was set up by the government. And weirdly enough, he said that like child protective services and stuff were rings for pedophilia. And just so happened that the judge that's overseeing his current case now was like in a picture and was a part of a case or something. So how that isn't already like, what do you call that when it's a public of interest or whatever, cross of interest? That I don't know how they even allowed her to be the judge over his case when she's already dealt with something that he's covered or whatever. Maybe it was just a new finding. But either way, his attorneys leaked the entire contents of his phone over the last 2 years, and it pretty much perjured everything that Alex Jones said, which wasn't really needed. If you've known Alex Jones's content and you've heard any of it, yeah, he made his entire name off conspiracy theories and getting people all riled up and creating fear and wild stories and speculations about people. Here's the thing. Remember, a lot like with the Amber Heard case, we were talking about incidences that were happening back in 2006 in that case. We're talking about something that happened in 2012 here. It's 2022. It's 10 years later, and this is just now being a suit that's being seen in court. So this is why I've always been very careful when I cover things, when I talk about things, that I don't make bold proclamations of knowing. I'm only a talking head giving my opinion. I'm not a professional, and I hope that that's kind of one of the nice things I bring to the show is I'm not going to bore you to death with a bunch of words that you have to go look up and stuff like that. I speak like a very common person. I'm just giving a common person's opinion on stuff, and I try to bring it back around to mental health if I can. And I think with both of these, Alex Jones and this Andrew Tate guy, we're going to be able to do that. Alex Jones very clearly just was a shock jock. He wanted to do shock and awe. He even said he liked Larry David more. He really liked Larry David, but he also liked Howard Stern. Howard Stern's definitely a shock jock. It's just say crazy shit to get views. And then again, it's usually those guys turn into the people that go, well, look at the mainstream media and look at what they do for views and clicks. It's like, dude, you're the worst. Like, you're worse than them. You're so much worse than them. Because at least as a valid, accredited, news source, they are held responsible if they say something. The difference was people were doing, and he couldn't help but just spout it off, that he was syndicated. People back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even in the early 2000s, to have a syndicated radio show was a big deal. That meant you were a personality that people listened to. When SiriusXM came around, that's really when you started to hear more voices and more wild, kind of unfiltered shit. And then YouTube came along, and you could say almost anything. Well, Alex Jones was one of the first people who was actually permanently banned from all social media, where he was not allowed to speak on there because he was just creating propaganda, and he likes to say that he's been right more than he's been wrong. I don't know. I'm just willing to say I don't know. Both of these, let's talk about Andrew Tate. I've seen a bunch of his content. He's an American-British kickboxer. The only reason I've seen it is because the internet is flooding my feed with it. Maybe just because I'm a guy and I'm a podcaster. He's a misogynist. He's egotistical. He's creating some sort of facade with his mix of cultures, being his American and his British. He kind of switches back and forth when he speaks between the accents. He's always got the glasses on, and he's always saying something controversial or, what did he say? And again, I'm not 12. I don't get real like, oh, look how cool this guy is with his glasses and his private jets, and he knocked people out in the ring. Like, I'm not new to any of that. That's not impressive to me. I don't care that you created like an online whatever he did, gambling or whatever fucking shit he does. I don't care. You're a bad guy. You are going around, whether this is a fictional character like in the WWE or this is really who you think you are, to go around and act like you deserve a platform to be speaking to young men is insulting as a 30-year-old who has 2 daughters who will be raised to learn to respect themselves and that they are very strong, capable women in every stance of their life, not just in the stances that his stupid ass thinks so. But also acknowledging that the kids her age will probably hear a lot of these messages that this guy is spouting, and a lot like people will always make their own distinctions of what is right and what is wrong. I can tell you that saying things, whether you truly believe them or not, just to get an internet attention, Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, it's just bad. It might be making you money now. Ask Alex Jones how much money he's going to be left with here in the next couple days, because jury deliberations are currently out. And I can tell you, he's going to pay a lot of money. Like a lot. Because he deserves to for what he's done to these people. To try to completely discredit parents losing a child is not something that could be easily walked away from. Now, I need to also address, in the Alex Jones situation, I remember seeing videos around the time go through the early internet where there was a parent who they were calling a crisis actor who was sitting and laughing and talking and having normal conversations. He was actually laughing. And then they were about to have the press conference, and they were like, all right, we're about to start. And he goes, and he like fell into character. Now, again, I don't know how credible that video was, but I saw that. I know that that happened, which led me into like this weird conspiracy theory rabbit hole for like a week, where I started watching Mandela Effect videos. I watched like this weird documentary on loose change on 9/11 and how that was a fixed job. And every single one, I left the documentaries or the videos or whatever going, that was really interesting. Holy fuck, I sat there and watched that for 2 hours. But there were so many holes in that. If you're a normal person that's not just believing whatever you're seeing, and like with Netflix, documentaries, you can always see the agenda just beaming right through the dialogue that's going through. And to me, I just don't like to be lied to. I don't like, if you're giving me a show, if you're putting on a play, tell me that I'm coming to see your performance. But don't tell me this is genuinely who you are. Try to capitalize on that by shock and awe. And then when people go, hey, you're hurting people by doing what you're doing, and yes, you've gained this massive following for whatever the reason is, whether they love you or hate you, it's really irrelevant. But at what point are you actually like a harm to society? Because you are going out of your way to say dumb shit just to be viewed by a lot of people. So people will share you around, oh, look at this piece of shit, look at this guy, look at that guy. And again, you're playing the heel. It's nothing new. Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor, WWE stars all over the world, comedians. I mean, people do it. But I think what this guy's doing is so disgusting just because it's so obvious. I think anybody who watches this guy and thinks it's legit, I think you need to like go outside more. And if you think that anything this guy's saying, even in jest, there are some things he says in jest that are like, okay, fucking whatever. All I can tell you is if he really believes this shit, he's a very broken man that is very angry at a lot of attractive women that turned him down over the years, or whatever his fucking self-conscious ego problems are that he claims he doesn't have. Whatever, dude. You know, I saw his clip the other day where he was dogging on people for taking naps. Hey, man, like, medical science is a thing, and it actually says that, like, since human beings existed, our natural circadian rhythm was to, like, sleep in the middle of the day for 30 minutes to an hour, get up, go back to sleep around 7 o'clock, wake up at, like, 2 in the morning, have a meal, talk, go back to sleep at, like, 4, wake up at 7 a.m., have a day until, like, noon. So, again, like, you going off spouting this shit that you know something about something because you've made some money on an online crypto scam or whatever you did, I'm not interested in it. And it just bums me out that it seems like there's a lot of these young guys I just see in the comment sections of a lot of my favorite podcasts that are discussing this guy. There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I just started listening to Andrew Tate, and I think he's the bomb. He just speaks the truth, man. It's like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Sure. Are there ignorant bitches out there in the world that do dumb shit? Sure, I just covered Amber Heard. So, yes, they exist. But those are not the majority of women. It's just apparently the majority of the women this fucking numbskull's encountered. And again, guys, CTE is a real thing. I don't know if brain damage is a part of this because he was a very accredited kickboxer. This isn't one of those things where it's like, apparently he just challenged Jake Paul to a fight or vice versa. It's like, this isn't one of those things where it's like, hey, man, let's fight on the internet. Like, dude, I just want him to be stopped. I want that to stop. I want people to stop paying attention to it because it's so clearly stupid. If I have a voice on the internet, regardless of how tiny it is compared to his, I would feel the need to say, hey, guys, don't fill your time with dumb shit. If you see somebody playing the heel, just let it be what it is. Again, if something conspiratorial gets your interest, look into something. But it doesn't take too long to find out that Sandy Hook shooting happened. It doesn't take long to find out that Andrew Tate is a very flawed character who is trying to apparently play the opposite of woke and be like the anti-woke super dummy. I don't really know what the goal is there, but it's entertaining to people that are entertained by that kind of stuff. I acknowledge that, like, The Bachelorette and Love Island and that was all huge, huge shows, all of which I would rather cover myself in honey and lay in the woods than do some shit like that, sit and watch that. So I can't connect. I can't connect with that. I don't understand even if you were to fly in a private jet, which I'm sure Andrew Tate does at this point, like, to bring it up and to flaunt it like it's something you're cool for, to me just shows how new it is to you. And it also shows, like, how short-lived I think all this will be for him. It's all such a play at a quick money grab because there is no sustainability to it. It's going to end up in an Alex Jones. He's going to say something about someone or do something. A group will come after him, and he's already been kicked off Twitter. He's banned off Twitter. And how long until YouTube goes, yeah, I'm not pushing anything else with this guy? Because he's done the Nelk Boys podcast. He's been on fucking, I think, Logan Paul's shit. And he's doing all this media for what, dude? You're a retired kickboxer that's now doing, like, crypto or whatever. Okay. Why are we listening to this person? What is he trying to help people with? Was he trying to give you confidence? He talks to everybody that listens to the shows like they're fucking idiots and he knows everything. And Alex Jones does the exact same thing. He was cutting off the judge. He was being incredibly disrespectful. He was cutting off his own attorney. It's just, you see this pompous, arrogant, I'm better than everyone, so listen to me when I speak, when I think what people value about like Rogan and myself is it's, hey, this is what my observation is. Go look for yourself. Don't take my, what I'm saying is gospel. Go watch Andrew Tate's stuff. See how you feel about him. Go watch Alex Jones. See if you think that anything about him is really credible or worth watching. I'm not agreeing that people should be censored necessarily. I think you just have to clearly label yourself, and you have to be willing to accept the ramifications, right? So if you're labeling yourself as someone who should be listened to, and then people listen to you, and this parent of the Sandy Hook was saying that they get death threats and stuff because people are saying that they would use a child's death to capitalize or whatever because of some shit Alex Jones said. It was like, man, oh man. Once you gain a following that you so, and he couldn't help but say it too, he works so hard to gain, aren't you responsible for that? We keep having these conversations. Travis Scott, the gun culture, the talking head culture as it's becoming on social media, where people could just make TikToks and try to go viral on shit. It's like, again, remember, we're watching cases from 2006, 2012. You guys that are going and getting your millions of views yesterday on TikTok, you have yet to get those legal paperwork in the mail. They say you're being sued because you assaulted somebody for a video, and you're going to go to a judge and go, it was a prank, look, we got 2 million videos, it's good for the community, we shouted out Ralph's, or whatever the fuck you did. It's like, yeah, no, that's not going to fly. You're going to pay them every dime you made off that video, and anything you ever seek to collect forward, because you're an idiot and you can't just walk around, smack people in the face. Or like how that one kid, it's funny, I'll give it to him, it's funny, but he walks around with the big thing and he goes, oh, I'll chew poppy in people's ear. It's fucking hilarious. But like when he gets his ass kicked for doing something like that, or when someone is, set off by what he's doing and they take it as an invasion, he can't then be like, well, it was just a joke, I just talked through your ear, I didn't even touch you. It's like, yeah, man, but you're getting in people's way, irritating people on purpose. And like, that's the same thing Andrew Tate is doing. He's going out to piss off women, piss off men who actually have values and respect women, and he wants all these people to come after him. And I think he just came out of nowhere, because he did, when Rogan's controversy thing happened, and he goes, oh, controversy works, let's do controversy all over the internet. And I wonder this with him, with a few other people. Like there was a guy who was just on Rogan, his name's Chris Williamson, and he does similar content to what I do, and I had never heard of him before. He's from the UK. And I was watching some of this, and I'm like, who are these guys that get these PR? They must get like PR firms, they must get agents, they must get something that get them to where all these shows will have them on. Is it just because you can get to a certain follower number, subscriber number, and then at that point when your email comes across the booker's desk and they look you up, then they're willing to take it? But like this Chris Williamson guy, only in the past 6 months has gotten like Jocko Willink on his podcast. But like that was when the boom tick started up. I actually came across one of his videos like 6 months ago, and I think he was somewhere around the 100,000 subscriber range, or maybe a little more, I'm not sure. But it was like, how do these guys go from nobody on YouTube? I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not asking in a judgmental way. I'm asking so I could possibly just throw my hat in the ring and have a voice. No, I like Chris Williamson's content, kind of. His style is not really for me. It's a little more monotone, but it's fine. He has good content. This Andrew Tate guy is not for me at all. It's just bad. It's just being divisive. It's being mean. It's putting out a false, egotistical narrative that what men is, and it's everything I've fought against for the past 5 years since having my show. So yeah, I don't typically like to make videos just dogging on two human beings that are out there creating content, but when, hey fellas, you did a good job, you went viral, everybody knows your name, so we're gonna talk about you. In that regard, I think you're both dummies, and I hope you find purpose in life. Alex Jones says now he's trying to be a self-help guy or whatever. Hey, no thank you. No thanks. Just you deal with the ramifications of this one, and then whatever your life is after that, make it that. Andrew Tate, I don't know what the hell you're about to do, but I hope you stop coming across my screen. Guys, love you so much. Let me know what you think of these two individuals. If you're following anything they do, if you've heard of any of their stuff, let me know what you think. I'm always willing to listen. Love you.